Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Nice to have your association again. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining today.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Your audio and video is good, so it's good to start. Just 1 minute, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. Today we have the privilege of having His Grace Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu. He would be covering with a continuation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31. Today will be verse number 10. Prabhu, over to you. Also, let me know, Prabhu, if you want me to share something or I can make you co-host.
Yeah, you can make co-host.
I'll do that, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. You have been studying Canto 4 here, Chapter 31. And today is the 10th verse. Yes. So let us read this verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshti Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.10. So here Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the importance of devotional service, speciality of devotional service, how devotional service, in the purport Prabhupada is speaking, how devotional service makes everything special, even if someone does not have a very great birth. So the verse here is saying, Kim janmabhistribhirveha shaukra savitra yagika karma bhirva trayi proktai pumsopi vibhuthayusha. So, Kim Janmabhi Trivi, the 3 types of birth are explained. Shaukra Savitra Yagnika. Shaukra is by the mother coming out of the womb of the mother. Savitra is initiation. So, and Yagnika is special initiation where one becomes eligible to perform yajnas and worship the deities. So in our system, the second initiation is the Pancharatriki initiation. And the first initiation is the Bhagavata initiation, initiating in the holy name. That is how we follow in our society. So in some other societies, Savitra, which is the second type of birth here, it means second initiation itself. They give the sacred thread. And Yajnikaha, the certain mantras which are required for performing yajna, it is given in another initiation. So three types of birth are there. And karma bhirvatrai prokte pumsopi vibudhayusha. So these three types of birth are mentioned, and someone who gets the third birth, Yajnika, so he becomes eligible to, or he gets the, not eligible, he gets the opportunity by mercy of the spiritual master to worship the Lord and do yajna. So it is written here that karma bhirvat rai proktai pumso pe vibudayusha. Despite the opportunities for attaining such births, even if one gets the lifespan of a demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything is useless. So someone who gets this Savitra Yajnikaha birth, so he is very fortunate because he gets the opportunity to worship the Supreme Lord. So, but if someone gets a Vibudha the lifetime or the lifespan of a demigod like Brahma, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, so 1000 cycle of Chaturyugas, that's his daytime, and he lives for 100 years. So that's his lifespan, about 311 trillion years, something like that. So even if someone gets a very long life and does not engage in serving the Lord, thinking of the Lord, then all the activities are useless because he will come back again to this material world in some body. So he will not be able to get proper satisfaction because satisfaction comes only by service to Lord, and he will also be stuck here in this material world. So that's what the verse is telling here. The three types of births are there, and one becomes fortunate if one gets the opportunity to worship the Lord. A Yajnikaha birth, so he becomes a Yajnika. So, and then does not matter if he is not worshipping the Supreme Lord, but he is doing different types of karmas, or he becomes a jnani, or while doing karma and jnana, he becomes a demigod, which is a result of karma to go to heavenly planets, pious karma. Or if the result of jnana, one can go to the planets of the great yogi like Tapoloka, and eventually he can also attain Sayujya Mukti. So these things are not satisfying to the Lord, it says. So Prabhupada writes in the last sentence of the translation, similarly, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but sorry. One's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. So if one's activities are mundane, it's okay, no problem. It is understood that they are not satisfying. But even the so-called spiritual activities, spiritual does not mean that bhakti. Spiritual means something which is written in the Vedas. So even the Vedic activities like karma and jnana are not very satisfying to the Lord, because there is no pure bhakti there. Some mixed bhakti is there. So it's a long purport here. So we can read it quickly. So Prabhu, what is the system you have? You read the whole purport. If it's a big purport, what is the system in the class?
Prabhuji, normally we read, but it's just up to the speaker, Prabhu, the way you would want to do it. Perfectly okay.
Fine. So the verse, you understood the meaning of the verse. The three types of births are mentioned. One is born as a result of union of the parents, then he gets initiated. In the terms of our society, first initiation is initiation into the holy name. It's a Bhagavat Vidhi. Second initiation is Pancharatrika Vidhi. So some Gayatri mantras are given so that one becomes a Yagika. And then this is important. This is very fortunate situation if someone gets it. But even after becoming a human being and getting initiated, one just keeps on engaging in so-called spiritual activities like karma jnana, or even if he becomes a great demigod and lives for millions, billions, trillions of years, but does not take that opportunity to worship the Lord, then it is not very satisfying to himself and to the Lord. So in the purport, in the first paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining that Shaukra Janma is taking birth by seminal discharge. So even animals, they take their birth like this. So anybody who is born in this world, he takes birth like that. So there's nothing very special about that birth. Of course, getting a human birth is definitely special. But if the human being who is born is very fortunate, then he will also get the opportunity to be born through certain samskaras like Garbhadhan. So Prabhupada writes that it is meant specially for the higher castes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, those who follow the Vedic system. So nowadays no one follows, but traditionally it is meant for those who follow the Vedic system. So these samskaras, there are many samskaras, and if the child is born after these samskaras, then he becomes a soul will enter the womb of the mother who is in mode of goodness, and for him it will be very easy to take up the practice of spiritual life. So otherwise, the soul who is more influenced by passion and ignorance, that is Shudra, they will be born. So Prabhupada here gives the importance of the Garbhadhan Samskar. So Prabhupada also writes about the Pancharatriki Vidhi. So the second initiation which we take in ISKCON, it is Pancharatriki initiation. The first initiation is holy name, that is Bhagavat Vidhi. So Sanatana Goswami is writing here in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Yatha kanchanam yati kamsyam rasa vidhanatah tatha diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nrinam. As bell metal, when mixed with mercury, is transformed to gold, even though not golden pure, can be transformed into, a person, even though not golden pure, can be transformed into a Brahmana or Dvija simply by the initiation process. So, in the previous times, people used to practice this alchemy and transforming different metals into gold. So, for that, mercury and all this was used. So, just like some other metal can be transformed into gold by a chemical process, similarly, a person, even though not very pure, not born in the mode of goodness, can still be transformed to Brahmana. Now, who is Brahmana? Brahmana is in mode of goodness, simply by initiation process. I mean, if he follows the vows of that initiation process and the standards, then he can come up to that platform. So that opportunity is given to him. Not that by receiving the thread, he is immediately promoted to mode of goodness. It's not like that. So Prabhupada writes, thus if one is initiated by a proper person, he can be accepted as twice born immediately, provided he is following, is chanting the Maha Mantra, following the regulative principles like that. So then one becomes qualified to be initiated, and then he can worship Lord Vishnu, otherwise he should not worship. So this is Yagyika. And then Prabhupada gives some quotations that how even if someone is born in the family of a Chandala, but if he is initiated by a Vaishnava Brahmana, then or if he is a Vaishnava, then he is better than a Brahmana. Chandalopi Dijo Shreshto Hari Bhakti Parayanaha Hari Bhakti Vihinascha Dijopi Shopachadhama. So Shopacha Adhamaha. So if someone does not have Hari Bhakti Vihina, then he is lower than Shopacha, dog eater. So in this section, Prabhupada is giving the importance of Hari Bhakti. This is the most important thing. Because in the verse it was told that the person might be performing some karmas. They might be spiritual karmas. Not Ananya Bhakti, but the karmas mentioned in Vedas. But still, they are not very satisfying to the Lord. So, the result of that, one may be promoted to the higher species of life, like demigods. But still, it is not completely satisfying to the Lord. So, we'll see why it is so later on. So, here also, Prabhupada is continuing with the same theme that Chandala can deliver not only this kind of Chandala, who is a Hari Bhakti Parayana. So he can deliver himself and all his family predecessors. But a proud Brahmana cannot deliver himself, what to speak of his family. Brahmana who is Hari Bhakti Vihina. So he cannot deliver. The meaning of deliver here means deliverance from the material world. So deliverance from the realm of matter. to the realm of spirit, or that is the understanding of deliverance here. Deliverance can mean many things. Deliverance can also mean deliverance from hellish planets like that, which the Karmakandi Brahmanas, they can do by performing some rituals, yagyas. But you cannot deliver anybody from the material world because that's a completely spiritual process. So Narad Muni is saying, Yassayal Lakshanam Proktam Pumso Varna Vivyanjakam Yad Antrapi Drishyeta Anyatrapi Drishyeta Tat Tenaiva Vinirdishet. So he's saying that just because someone is born in a Brahmana, so he becomes a Brahmana. Prabhupada gives the understanding that what is Brahmana, because when Prabhupada was initiating people, so people were opposing him in India, that why he is initiating this milechas. So that's why Prabhupada oftentimes in his purports he quotes these things, that who is actually Brahmana. So this verse says that Yassaya Lakshanam Proktam. So who is showing some Lakshana, so he should be accepted as a Brahmana, or that Varna should be put in that Varna of Brahmana. So it is not a fact that because one is born in a Brahman family that he automatically is a Brahmana. No, it's not like that. He has a better chance to become Brahmana, definitely, if he is born in a Brahman family, because he has that kind of environment. But unless he meets all the Brahminical qualifications, he cannot be accepted as such. So on the other hand, if the Brahminical qualifications are found in the person of a Shudra, he should immediately be accepted as a Brahmana. So nowadays it's very difficult to call someone as you're born in Shudra family, you're born in Brahmana family. So it's a very controversial thing. So that's why Prabhupada has devised a system that you just follow a system of Brahminical standards, and then you are a Brahmana. So whether you are born in Shudra family, Vaishya family, Kshatriya family, or some mixture family, so no one does that research. So this is the standard, you follow that, and you can become a Yaggika. So these things are also mentioned in many other places like Mahabharata. And then Prabhupada writes about the lifespan of Brahma from Bhagavad Gita. So even if someone has Vibhudha-yusha, the very long lifespan of a demigod, but if his lifespan is useless, if he is not a devotee. A living entity is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, and unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, his lifespan, good birth, glorious activities, and everything else are null and void. So that's what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. There are three types of janmas, janmastribhir, and so we understand that what exactly is Yagyika. So it's not that one has to be born like that, one can be initiated if one follows the standard process, which is also approved by various scriptures, as Prabhupada is quoting there from. And if someone is born in a lower caste, but he becomes a Yagyika by the standard process, then he becomes much more qualified than someone who is born in the family of Yagyikas, but he does not follow the process. And then different types of karmas are there. karma, jnana, yoga, etc. And they give different results, and like heaven's long life, etc. But it is not very satisfying in itself. There are many demigods who are also pure devotees, so their devotional service is very satisfying. But just going to heavenly planets and living a long life is not very satisfying to the soul and to the Supreme Lord. So here in this verse, Prabhupada is speaking about the importance of devotional service, the importance of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So one may do so many things, but if one is not absorbed, one's consciousness is not absorbed in the Supreme Lord, then it is not very satisfying. So in the verse it was said that there are many types of karmas, jnanas, or different karmas, jnanas, which might give different results. They are not very satisfying. Why it is so? Because let's say that the desire for liberation from this world, becoming one with the Supreme Lord, that is also given in the Vedas, merging in the Brahmajyoti. So this desire is also based on false ego, which is the most subtle element. So one wants to become one with the Supreme Lord in the path of Jnana Yoga. So it is based on the false ego, and hence it is considered as material. How it is based on false ego? Because often those who want impersonal liberation, so they consider that everything in this world has a form. But everything which has a form in this world does not have a spiritual nature. It is material nature. So something which has a spiritual nature should not have a material form. So that's why this is their understanding. But actually the spiritual reality is variegated, So it has form and so many other aspects. So impersonalism, or which is devoid of any variegatedness, it does not attract the heart. And that's why those who want this impersonal liberation, many times they might fall back in material existence because they want variegatedness. Variegatedness is something which attracts the heart. So it is not very attractive, not very satisfying, as Prabhupada writes. So that's why Prabhupada writes in one place in Canto 1 that more and more people, they have no spiritual pathway for directing their urge for beauty. So they think that beauty of this world is illusory. And so I just have to get away from everything which is beautiful, everything which is attractive, wonderful. And so they find themselves attracted materially, because it is very difficult to give up artificially the attraction for beauty. And they do not have understanding of spiritual beauty, the spiritual aspect of beauty. So that's why they become attracted to material things, material beauty. In this way, this path of jnana, actually impersonalism, it promotes materialism. because ultimately these people get attracted to something material, because getting attracted is the nature of the soul. So karma and jnana, they are the cause of material desire. That's why in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhu Goswami writes, what is pure bhakti? Jnana karmadi anavritam. So jnana and karma, they produce material desires. That's why ananya bhakti, pure bhakti is devoid of karma and jnana. So then what one should do, if you are engaged in karma and jnana, then you can get many wonderful results, material results. But it is not satisfying to the Lord. So to satisfy the Lord, what one should do? So one should become Krishna conscious. That is, absorbing one's consciousness in Krishna. So, which is the goal of all the saintly people, devotees. So, thinking of Krishna all the time, in some or the other way, that is the goal of life. Just like a worm, which is confined to a hole by a bee, always thinks of the bee. And later, it takes the form of a bee because of the remembrance of the bee. That example is given in the Shastras. Similarly, if a conditioned soul somehow or the other is always thinking of Krishna, so he has become a Yajnika now, and he is making the best use of becoming a Yajnika by engaging in different types of remembrance of Krishna. So, in conditioned state, we cannot always remember Krishna. So, that's why different activities are recommended. Bhakti yoga means that one can do one's own activity and still remember Krishna, connecting that activity to Krishna. So one should be engaged in different types of Navavidha Bhakti, and even one's own profession also becomes a form of remembering Krishna. So in this way, while always thinking of Krishna, then after leaving this body, that person also attains a form like Krishna's form, spiritual. So the meaning of this verse is that the nature of the soul is to love and to be loved. That's why Prabhupada writes about satisfaction there. Unless there is love, there cannot be satisfaction. Why people are frustrated in this world today? Because inside their heart, there is no genuine love. So they don't love anybody genuinely, and no one loves them also genuinely. So that's why they are unhappy. So one can be satisfied if someone loves you genuinely. So Krishna loves you genuinely, even if someone does not do. And you also should reciprocate that love, not only to Krishna, but to all the living entities. So when the soul is engaged in its constitutional position and activities, then the effects of material life, like karma, it begins to evaporate. So, and then when karma is evaporating, then slowly, one enters into the spiritual realm. Slowly, they can start to perceive their spiritual identity. So, this is not very difficult. In Bhakti Yoga, one simply has to arrange one's life in such a way that somehow or the other, he can remember Krishna as much as possible. And at some point of time, it will become possible to always remember Krishna. This is the purpose of Bhakti Yoga. So, if we are detached from this body, and when we are thinking of Krishna, his pastimes, qualities, etc., so when we will die, when we leave this body, then we'll go to Krishna's abode. But for materialists who have made no such endeavor, then they have to come back to another material body because they will have different material desires, and material desires can be fulfilled in a material body. That's why they will have to come back. Therefore, such desires will bring us back to another material body. And that is why, even though one might become a great demigod and he gets a huge lifespan, very long lifespan, Buddha-yusha, then he will not be very satisfied. So this is, one can be satisfied when one's consciousness is becoming spiritualized. And then he is entering the same frequency as the spiritual dimension. So when you leave your body, your consciousness will enter the same frequency as you have practiced throughout your life. Someone who has practiced thinking of Krishna, then his consciousness or the soul will enter into a place where there is remembrance of Krishna all the time, which is spiritual world. So people are trying to become one with God, in Jnana Yoga system. They want to take Samadhi. But in Bhakti Yoga also there is Samadhi. So for this, the Bhakti Yogi does not have to be in a special physical position, sitting posture or location, or engage in pranayam or so on. But he has to awaken his awareness of God. The awakening the awareness of God, that is Samadhi. So this is expressed in 11th canto by Havi to King Nimi. In 11th canto, you'll read. So he's telling that a devotee should not see anything separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether it is the elements, whether it is the luminaries, sun, moon, stars, etc., the directions, the trees, other living entities, the rivers, oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider it to be expansion of Krishna. That's what Krishna is telling in chapter 9, 10, 11, when he is speaking about his opulences in Bhagavad Gita. So in the 9th chapter, he tells he is the source. Then 10th chapter, he shows the opulence. 11th chapter, he shows the Vishwarupa. So one has to understand that whatever one is seeing, the basis of that is the Supreme Lord only. So in this way, one begins to awaken his awareness of God. So even when someone sees something beautiful in this world, then his consciousness is not disturbed. Rather, he thinks that if this person or this particular opulence is so wonderful, it is so attractive to me, then it is a spark of Krishna's splendor, as Krishna says in 10th chapter. Everything is a spark of my splendor. So Krishna will be so much more wonderful. In this way, one awakens his awareness of God. So this is related by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his talk with Ramananda Rai also. So Mahaprabhu is telling Ramananda Rai that, my dear Ramananda Rai, you are a very advanced devotee and you are always filled with ecstatic love for Krishna. Therefore, whatever you see anywhere, it simply awakens your Krishna consciousness. So Basically, the Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, he sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, he sees that it is the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Because everything is the manifestation of Krishna's energy. Even this body, which is made up of different elements, it is manifestation of Krishna's energy. So in this way, the devotee sees Krishna everywhere. So the Mayavadis, they also want to see everything as Krishna or Brahman. But the devotee understands that everything is manifestation of Krishna, but also the spirit soul is different. It's not the same. But in one sense, everything is Krishna in this universe. It is coming from Krishna. So that is awakening the awareness of God. In this way, the devotee who is advanced, he not only sees the different forms in this world, but he sees the reality behind these forms. What is the reality? That is the Supreme Creator. Therefore, we should cultivate this vision that everything which we see is an expansion of the energies of the Lord. A person is coming to us, he is very angry, or he has a grudge towards us. That is also a manifestation of Krishna's energy. The three gunas are there, and it's a manifestation of Krishna's energy. It's coming to us in some way because of our own karma. So today some angry person is coming, tomorrow some other person will come. So we should see it as expansion of the energies of the Lord. So the Lord is sporting, in this creation, and this creation is happening, maintenance, annihilation, it's all happening. So we should be detached, knowing that nothing belongs to us. And we are only utilizing what we need in our own process of self-realization. So if we continue to progress in this process of Bhakti Yoga like this, then we will also attain the vision of the advanced devotees. So, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, what is that verse? Brahmani Gavihasthini Shuni Chaiva Shopakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So that is the stage of a very advanced devotee, that he sees the Paramatma everywhere. Just like Prabhupada, he went to the US. And in the US, there are some hippies who are drunk and lying on the street, and they don't have very good behavior. They are not gentle, they are not intelligent, and they are born of mlecha families. Basically, there is nothing attractive in them. So, but still, Prabhupada is not seeing that he's a person who is in a very bad state, spiritually or physically, whatever. Prabhupada is seeing that there is Paramatma inside. So if we go to such a person, or if we are surrounded by this kind of person, hippie kind of people, then we will feel that let's get out of here. Let's go to some good association. But Prabhupada, he saw that everything is expansion of Krishna's energy only. So these people are affected by the energy of mode of passion and ignorance, and if they come in touch with Krishna, they can also be transformed. So Uttam Adhikari, he has this vision which can be attained by all of us also if we practice this awakening of the awareness of seeing God everywhere, which Krishna tells to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. So he has to look at things outside. And when you look outside, you get disturbed. That's why Krishna is saying that everything is my vibhuti. Everything which attracts you is my vibhuti. So in this way, we are reminded of Krishna. So someone who has constant awareness and vision, as we have been discussing, is a devotee, and he attains oneness with God on the path of Bhakti Yoga. So, because he's always absorbed in thinking how to please Krishna, how to carry out the wishes that Krishna has for humanity, then that kind of a person is considered as spiritually awakened. So when someone is dreaming, just as a dream is real only as long as the dream continues. When you are awake, then you are free from the dream and you are back in the reality. Similarly, when we are free from material consciousness and we awaken to spiritual consciousness and we work on that level, then there is no difference between what we do with our body and our soul. So everything is engaged in Bhakti Yoga. The process, everything can be engaged in Bhakti Yoga. The process of Bhakti Yoga or spiritual realization is that of performing our devotional service. So when we are engaging intelligence, false ego, body, mind, everything in spiritual development, thinking of Krishna, working for Krishna, then there is no difference between our material body and soul. So that is why doing material activities is not an obstacle for someone on the path of Bhakti Yoga, because those so-called material activities are also spiritual. The Gyanis, they are afraid of external activities because they think that everything external is illusory. So, in fact, the body becomes spiritually surcharged because of the effect of spiritual activities. So, that is becoming one with Krishna, on the path of bhakti. So, this is why someone who is an expert devotee, he will mold his life in such a way that he can always remember Krishna. So while performing all kind of duties, for his life, because we are not yogis, so we have different types of duties. We are not Ashtanga yogis, so we have to do different types of activities, external activities. So while performing all kinds of duties for this life and for the next life, so somehow or other he is constantly remembering Krishna's names, qualities, and pastimes. So that's why he goes through different, he is living his life differently from the materialist who focuses only on his own goals, his own desires, wants, how to achieve them. But devotee is so absorbed in the bliss he gets from connection with Krishna consciousness, thinking of Krishna. So that he is not so much interested in the grand illusion which the material world presents of prize, possessions, fame, etc. So this is why a devotee, especially one who is experienced a taste of Krishna's reciprocation, to some extent, every one of us has experienced Krishna's reciprocation to some degree. So that reciprocation is the most sweet thing. There is nothing more important than that. So, so devotee, he wants to experience Krishna. He wants to go to his abode. And there is nothing more important or more joyful than this. Even when a devotee is in a dangerous situation, materially dangerous situation, or he experiences some kind of loss, he accepts it as mercy of the Lord. Because anyway, everything is temporary in this world. And it also gives a good opportunity to think of the Lord very sincerely with undivided attention. It's a test, when difficulties come in the life, it's a test for a devotee to prepare for the time of death. So this practice of thinking about Krishna in difficulty will prepare us for thinking of Lord when we leave this body. So when we will conquer death in this way, there will be nothing to be afraid of. And Krishna already gives promise that he will protect the devotee. In this way, so we may even welcome death at the time of death. So this is how we become absorbed in Krishna in constant meditation, just like a man who puts on green glasses. Prabhupada gives the example many times. So he sees green everywhere. He sees the whole world as green. Even the whole universe will appear as green. Similarly, someone whose heart is imbued with presence of the Lord, then he sees everything as the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. And then he will use that opportunity of becoming a yagika to worship the Lord and always remember the Lord, which will be very satisfying to the Lord, and also it will be very satisfying to that devotee himself. And thus he will go back to Krishna's abode after leaving this body. And he will not get that vibhuda ayusha, again entering in some extraordinary material body, living for millions of years in Swarga or some other planet, which is also not very wonderful. So in this way, this verse is telling about the importance of engaging in Krishna service. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. Very, very nicely you explained, the three kinds of birth, and you brought it across through how the natural birth which we come across, and also through the various initiation process. And very nicely you explained this Yagnika thing of how it actually, how you can actually get absorbed in serving the Lord, and how fortunate a person is to engage in such service. And though you may have a long lifespan, without engaging service is useless. And you talked about the transformation. It was very nice. And the transformation into Brahmana is through initiation, just to compare to how the mercury turns to gold. And the importance here is to follow the standard and become a Brahmana. That's very important. Prabhupada really practiced. He actually showed it to us. And you also talked about how the liberation through merger, it is not at all attractive, because you actually, you can't really appreciate the beauty of the Lord. You talked about the jnana part of it. And all the frustration and lack of satisfaction is because, or the frustration and not having the satisfaction is due to lack of genuine love, which is more seen by the pure devotees, where they see everything as a manifestation of the Lord's energy in different forms. He sees everything around him, and every reaction situations is that. And then you talk finally about Srila Prabhupada had this vision, and he transformed the lives of so many hippies, and so many so many lives have been touched and changed about that. And you very nicely brought about thinking of God in all situations is the most important thing that will keep us even totally away from being afraid of death as well, and being constantly absorbed in the constant meditation of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhu. I will just open up the lines for the devotees to ask any questions or share their comments. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture, Prabhu, and eye-opener for us to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Dandot Pranam, Prabhu. Prabhu, the same request for me. If the weather is clear and there's no rain, and you can please show us Govardhan if possible, Prabhu. I don't want to trouble you, but we'll not get tired seeing
No.
again and again.
Yeah, I'll check.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions to Prabhu?
Okay. Fine.
Yes, Prabhu, no comments or questions so far. I think everybody's understood it so beautifully. I think you explained it in a very, very nice way of, keeping it simple of what it really means when you talk of serving the Lord, how it can be done, what mood we should be, and this really come out very, very well, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all devotees. So let me go outside and check if we can see.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
It had been raining, so it is little misty, but you can see Giriraj over there.
Oh, Viraj, Govardhan ki jai. Yes, Prabhu.
Well, I'm on the first floor today, not on the second floor. So behind the houses, you can see.
Okay. Yes, we can see, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Viraj, Govardhan ki jai.
So here
Yeah.
you can see the Srinathji temple also. You see this here towards the corner on the top of Giriraj.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you again for your wonderful class.
Okay.
We'll just end with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo anantakoti vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. His Grace Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Gauranga.
So much, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I wanted
Hare
to
Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Purushottam Master. Yes, Prabhu.